Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, back on Personal Pension Radio. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate all the support. I love it. Thank you so much. I am Kraig Strom, the income engineer, broadcasting from the Personal Pension Radio Workshop here in now summer in Southern California. Basically, winter is over. We might have a few more cold days, but I think it was pushing 85, almost 90 yesterday. So sorry for those of you back in the East enjoying the frigid cold. Here in the West, the weather has turned and basically feels like the beginnings of summer. So, broadcasting from the studio workshop, as I said. Who am I? Somebody asked me, a new podcast listener. So just sort of a reminder for me to make sure that you know who I am. I am now, 19, 20 years in the financial services world. That's amazing. I always base that off of my daughter is 20. So 19 to 20 years right in there. Just depends on which month I'm looking at. But suffice it to say, it's been a long time. I was born in Maine, been in California most of my life. I am a certified financial planning professional, a chartered financial consultant, an investment advisor representative, blah, 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 blah. I have lots of experience, lots of letters and numbers after my name. Some of the most important stats about me, though, I am married to my wonderful and patient wife, Amy. My daughter, Madeline, is in college right now and almost sustaining life on her own, which I'm proud of. Really happy about that. I have two fur people. We are dog people, not that we don't love cats and all animals in general, but my wife is allergic to cats. So we love animals, but we've got the hypoallergenic friendly type dogs. I also am a woodworker. I build fine furniture, cabinetry, anything, woodworking related as my therapy. And I also run a weekly car show here in Corona, California. If you want to look it up, Cars Coffee Corona. That's the actual Instagram and Facebook tag. Cars Coffee Corona. It is Cars and Coffee Corona. I run a weekly car show because I'm a car guy. Now, I am passionate about this retirement income conversation. And it needs to be just that. It needs to be a retirement income conversation. Unfortunately, most Wall Street advisors have been trained on the retirement accumulation conversation, that retirement is all about accumulation. And if you think about this question, you'll really get this set in your mind. You'll get this picture set in your mind. What is the ultimate objective of climbing a mountain? If you were to take a trip, you're going to go to a mountain, you're going to hike it, you're going to climb it. What's the ultimate goal of climbing that mountain? Well, most people come right out and say, to get to the top, to take good pictures, the accomplishment, the satisfaction, etc. Well, if you listen to the question carefully, what is the ultimate goal of climbing a mountain? The answer is right there. It's to get back down safely. It doesn't matter if you get to the top of the mountain. If you don't get back safely, you don't get to tell anybody about it, right? So the ultimate goal of retirement is not just to save all this money. The ultimate goal is to get back down the retirement mountain with the income and the lifestyle that you might actually want. That's the key, is it's a two-part journey. You've got to pack your bags correctly for that climb, that accumulation part of your journey, so that you can then take maximum distributions. And I want to help you pull back behind the curtains here and help you understand that most advisors today have been educated by the same Wall Street machine that taught me the messaging that worked best for Wall Street. Right? I mean, it just makes sense, folks. Wall Street spends $17 billion a year on advertising, marketing. Does it make sense to you when I say this? Wall Street has no financial incentive to teach me how to teach you to take maximum money out of their system. It just makes sense. When you know this, it's time to actually start asking questions about retirement income, right? The advice from the classically trained, as I used to be, Wall Street financial advisor is frankly incomplete. They teach their clients how to get up the mountain. They do not teach maximum income strategies. That's what I'm all about. And although the conversations in my podcast are not always focused on the little details of retirement income, I actually love to dig in with my listeners on the retirement income details for you specifically. If you've never had the retirement income conversation in detail from someone like myself who specializes in it, please send me an email at Kraig@kraigstrom.com. It's Kraig with a K, Kraig @kraigstrom.com. And I would love to jump in and take a look at that retirement income detail with you so that you know what you're on track for now and what you could be on track for once you learn some of the pitfalls of that typical Wall Street retirement conversation. Now, quick disclosure, I am not an attorney. I am not a certified public accountant. I am the certified financial planning professional. But please, don't act on things that you hear on this show or from financial entertainers. What's a financial entertainer, you ask? Financial entertainer is someone like Dave Ramsey, who doesn't have any licensing, has no government regulatory oversight, can basically just says whatever he wants, whether the advice is good or bad, and sadly, sometimes the advice is horrible, and has no oversight. Please meet with a qualified financial planner, but before you make any decisions, meet with that person. Meet with someone. I would love it to be me. I have a number of folks who have contacted me recently from this show that we're having great conversations about their specific details. And please do that before you act on anything. Now, let's jump in. I want to actually talk about the first segment first here. Watch your step. Now, I've had a number of people who have kept asking me about Deal of the Week. Well, Deal of the Week actually comes up when I am out there looking for a deal. In the last few weeks, I haven't actually needed to shop for anything or look for a deal or hunt anything down. So the Deal of the Week will happen when a Deal of the Week actually comes up. So don't worry, I haven't forgotten about it. I've had a number of requests and questions about it. I really appreciate it. It'll come up when I find one for you. Now, last week in segment 1, Watch Your Step, I had mentioned some really troubling news for pensioners. People who actually have a pension either from a company or most people have pensions from government entities, that there are some serious issues out there where pension companies and pension government entities are looking for options to be able to reduce pension benefits for people who are already on pension. Please, if you are a pensioner to be or already a pensioner, go back and listen to the last episode. Do some homework on that so you can be aware. Is it going to be a problem for you specifically? Probably not. But you owe it to yourself. It's a big risk. You got to go check that stuff out. If you have questions about it, please contact me at Kraig@kraigstrom.com. Get in touch with me and ask me about your pension. Don't also forget this one. Pensions do have a big decision to make, pensioners, when they get to retirement. The sooner you start planning for that retirement income decision, the better it can be for you in the long run, right? Please, please, please watch out for that. Now, this week, and last week I also mentioned, right, this idea of rising optimism, right? Avoid this bubble mentality. We are really just cranking through this unprecedented upswing in all of the markets, and it's just exciting. Please, watch out for that mentality. If you find yourself getting all warm and fuzzy about, the investment world's amazing, I need to jump in there, step back a moment and beware of that rising optimism, because this week I want to say this: rising optimism does breed bad decisions with some folks. So please watch out for things. One that caught my attention this week just makes me laugh. I laughed out loud in the car while I was driving and on Sunday, and I kind of hung my head a little bit, like, oh, this is so sad. And this is the story of Dogecoin. D-O-G-E coin. Dogecoin. Now, this ties into the idea of a question that someone asked me about cryptocurrency. I get questions about cryptocurrencies all the time. Of course, the big one that everybody knows of is Bitcoin. But I, frankly, had never heard of Dogecoin. I don't follow cryptos in any other way other than to say, yeah, I wish I purchased $100 of this one or that one, 7 years ago. Yes, wouldn't that have been great? Like a lottery ticket. But this is the story of Dogecoin. And I listened to this on an NPR podcast over the weekend, and it was created, it's a cryptocurrency, literally like with a picture of a dog on it and kind of a Comic Sans, letter on the top, Dogecoin. And it was created by Billy Marcus. I think his name is Billy Marcus. And it was literally created as a spoof, a joke, okay? He describes the moment when he kind of put two and two together. He had a cryptocurrency site open, and he had, I think, a picture of his dog or pictures of dogs or something open. Dogecoin. Wouldn't it be funny if we created Dogecoin? And he bought the website. Folks, listen to this. Dogecoin now has a market cap of over $1 billion. There's over $1 billion of people's real dollar bills, real money, in Dogecoin. Something that was created as a joke, a spoof, exploded, now has over $1 billion of market cap. Okay? Folks, that is crazy. Now, since my Bitcoin Beware episode a few weeks ago, Bitcoin lost over half of its value literally almost overnight. Now, does that mean that I'm a sage, that I'm some sort of future teller? No, it just means that Bitcoin is a highly speculative and volatile investment, not a currency. Dogecoin is not a currency either. It is a highly speculative, highly volatile investment. It's not a currency. Please beware of that rising optimism, that trend to jump on that fast-moving train, or that fast-moving, it makes me think of you got a train flying by you at a high speed that's kind of looks like it's ready to come off the rails, but it's so exciting. Everybody's so excited you want to jump on. It's very risky. So just beware of that rising optimism and that bubble mentality. Don't get sucked in by it unless you've taken a step back to seriously evaluate things. Just take a breath, okay? Now, last week on segment 2, questions and my observations, a question came in about, I would like to open a Roth, but my income is over the threshold. Is there another alternative? Now, I went through a very detailed discussion on a Roth alternative that also included cash value life insurance, which is a Roth IRA alternative. Definitely go back and listen to that if you have some additional questions about it, if you'd like to learn more about that. And of course, if you want to dig into it in detail, which I would so love to do, go ahead and email me, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. Now, this week, I have gotten this question, a number of different times. Many times. I've lost track. Kraig, what if the dollar goes to zero? Oh, I heard this, or I read that, or the dollar's going to go to zero. It's going to be worthless, right? Now, listen. Could that happen? I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, it is a great scare tactic promoted by people generally, in my experience, pitching alternative investments like Bitcoin and Dogecoin and precious metals and you name it. right? Alternatives, investments that, ooh, what if the dollar goes to zero? You're going to wish you had gold, right? I mean, that's what I hear so many times. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with investing in alternatives like commodities as long as you're smart, as long as you understand that gold is not a currency either, okay? At the apocalypse, the local shopkeep does not have the facilities to take gold. They don't know how to value gold, right? You can't walk in and pay with a few shavings of gold. You have to have some other form of currency. A barter system is much more likely than trading gold in the apocalypse, right? But there's nothing wrong with alternatives. Just make sure that you're smart about it. Don't get sucked in by this idea or this sales pitch that, the dollar is going to go to zero. Let's take a look, just so you understand. Take a look at some numbers and ask yourself about a world where the dollar is worthless, okay? So I haven't done this in a while. So let's take a look at the world gross domestic product by country, how big each country is, okay, by comparison. And then let's talk about the world where the dollar is worthless. So today, at least according to the stats that I pulled up real quick, the United States gross domestic product is sitting at $18.624 trillion. $18.6 trillion. It's massive. The nearest closest competitor to the U.S. in gross domestic product is China. Now, right there, a lot of folks will say, that's the one. China's going to take over the world. They're going to take over, and they're going to be the biggest, and that's just a matter of fact. It's going to happen. Well, let's look. 18.6 trillion for the United States, 11.1 trillion for China. They are big, definitely big, but they are almost 40% smaller than the U.S. Hear that, folks. China has 1 billion people. The U.S. has 330 million, roughly so. And yet we are 39.9% larger gross domestic product than China. They are not even in our ballpark at this point. Not even close. And then the next closest is Japan at 4.9. Not just a little drop, but a massive drop. We go from 18 to 11 to 4.9. Germany, 3.4. United Kingdom, London, 2.6. France, 2.4. Right? It's like you add up the next 7 or 8 countries all together, and they just barely meet the United States gross domestic product. So what I'm saying here, folks, listen to this, is that if the dollar went to zero, the world standard of economic power went to zero, would you really be worried about your 401k or your real estate investments or your alternatives, your value of gold? Or would you be protecting your home from zombies? Come on. When the economy, when the world goes to chaos, right? Are you really worried about your 401k at that point? No. So my point is this. If the dollar goes to zero or everything flipped upside down, something else is so wrong in the world that I really think these questions of, your investment's this or investment's that are going to be so 10th and 11th and 12th on the list of things that you're worried about that it's such a crazy, crazy idea. But my opinion, truly, at this point, the United States is the dominant economic power on the planet. China has 40% gain necessary just to match the United States. And they have 1 billion people, and the vast majority of those 1 billion people are not contributing to their economy in any significant way. In the United States, it's very different. It's very, very different. So the idea of the dollar going to zero, could it definitely crumble? Yeah, I suppose it could. But wow, that's going to be an extraordinary event, and I think I'd probably just be hunkering down at home and protecting my my house and my family, right? Here's something to think about, though. When the world goes to chaos, when the economic world goes into chaos, the governments of the world are not going to be able to save everyone. I always remember this from my dad. My dad was a police officer, and he'd always told us, not always, but he'd always told us when he saw things like riots and, various catastrophes and things happening in places, he'd say, look, son, when the proverbial excrement hits the fan and everything goes crazy, the police will not be able to come and save you in your neighborhood. They're going to be busy taking care of the central part of the cities, the central part of the town. Some of those police are going to flee and go take care of their own families. When the world goes into chaos, the government cannot save everyone. You have got to be prepared, right? And this is where I come back to share this story. The future belongs to those who actually take action. I keep 4 little ceramic frogs on my desk. Why are we talking about frogs, you ask, right? 4 little ceramic frogs on my desk is a reminder of this little riddle. 4 frogs on a log, and 3 of them decide to jump. 4 frogs on a log, 3 of them decide to jump. How many frogs are left? The answer is all 4 of them, because the 3 frogs only decided to jump. It didn't say they actually jumped. My call to you today is to take action. Get off the log. Get yourself prepared for these conversations. Be prepared, right? The future belongs to those who take action, whatever that future is. You have got to do it for yourself, because the government's not going to step in to bail you out. It's just not going to happen. So that's my call to finish up the episode today. Get off that log. Send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. Catch me on LinkedIn, Facebook, all over the place. I really look forward to talking to you. Next week, we're going to talk about long-term care insurance. I know it's exciting and you just can't wait, but look for that next week. Take care, folks. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast. If you missed anything during the show, that's okay. We took the notes for you. Check the show notes for links, offers, and a full transcript. And don't forget to head over to personalpensionradio.com and download your free retirement income report. While you are there, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening.
Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.